Well, it was a roller coaster ride in the first few years, certainly. We started it with no money, little experience. I think we only did it really because we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for. And it was incredibly difficult because within a few months of the birth of the newspaper, there was the first state of emergency of 1985, which began a long and difficult struggle to survive, both politically and financially. With the threat of being closed, with occasionally being closed, with papers being seized, with prosecution in court, with the banning of editions, with the banning of journalists, the arrest of journalists. Dealing with censorship at the time was a formidable task for a paper that was outspoken, that took a strong point of view and a strongly critical point of view. It was treacherous ground. You know, we felt that the mainstream media of the time was out of step with the politics of the country. The uprising of the 1980s was taking place, and we felt it wasn't properly covered. The newspapers covered Parliament and the union buildings and the corridors of power, but it wasn't covering the uprising in the townships and on the factory floors. And we thought that's what needed to be done. It was a difficult thing to do, but we thought there was a need and a demand for it. One of the biggest stories I was involved in was what's known as Inkatha-gate, the exposure in 1991 of secret police illegal funding of the IFP. It was a critical story at a critical moment, and in a way it signaled the paper arriving in the new era and finding its role and its feet and its voice in the new era. And I think that was an absolutely memorable and critical moment. MNG is a troublemaker. It's a journalistic troublemaker. It has always been, and I hope it will always be, that it won't become just another mainstream run-of-the-mill newspaper, that it won't follow the pack. It's always done things freshly, differently, stood out as a voice, stood out for its independence and its critical journalism. Those, I think, are the key elements. The paper has changed, as it had to, with the changing political and economic climate. Thank goodness it has changed. But I think it remains true to what we started, which was an independent, critical, outspoken, troublemaking publication dedicated to good, high-quality, in-depth journalism. I think those are the values that the paper started with, and I think they remain important. And I think at a time when there seems to be less and less quality, independent, outspoken, critical journalism, the Mail and Guardian is again looking like it will be one of the few voices to cover what needs to be covered and say what needs to be said.